Hello, everyone, and welcome to another webinar by Royal Cyber. My name is Rohit. I'll be your host and speaker for today. Now, some ground rules for a smoother experience before we begin. If you cannot see my screen or can't hear me properly, kindly notify me at the chat window, which is located on the right side of the pane. During the presentation, you can post your questions anytime in the chat window. Also, there will be a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Your questions will be taken in the sequence it is received. Additionally, you can post your questions or write to us for any follow-up information in the email ID shown here on the screen. And finally, we will love to hear back from you about today's session by completing a short survey, which will be shared towards the end of the presentation. So without any further ado, let's begin with the webinar. Today we are going to talk about transforming data capture using Captiva. Hey, that's me. I'm senior technical lead at Royal Cyber. I have over 12 years experience in Captiva. I have worked on different domains and different projects, like building Captiva processes from scratch, doing all the customization. I have done migration and upgradation project as well. And a little bit about us. We Royal Cyber is an IT consulting digital transformation company. We are specialized in service, solution, and software. We have over 600 clients across the globe, and we have our offices in Canada, US, Mexico, Saudi, Pakistan, India, etc. We have our technology partners like IBM, MuleSoft, Microsoft, Oracle, and so on. Before we start with the agenda of today's webinar, I want to let you all know that this webinar is for those who are not yet using Captiva for data extraction or who are using Captiva but not getting the expected result out of it. So in this webinar, we'll try to give you a proper path towards the solution, how you can create a proper data extraction system, which will save a lot of dollar value for you in terms of indexing the data out of the image. So let's begin with the agenda. First of all, I'll try to put the problem in words, right? That business facing the majority of the issues that we feel is a challenge for the data extraction part, and then I'll try to give you a milestones level solutions, right? I'll first try to give you the pointers, and then I'll take you through the focus area and how you can get this resolved for you. And after that, I'll try to give you a little bit insight about what is Captiva Capture is. And going forward, I'll take you through different steps, which you can call it as a milestone. So once you solve each of those milestones, you will have one piece of the puzzle in place. So I'll also talk about which types of document available in the market, classification techniques, extraction techniques, and then I'll move forward towards the correction and validation of the extracted data. Once you do all of this, the result matters. So on the sixth section, we'll be talking about what is the ROI you're gonna receive out of it once you implement this, and we'll try to give some real world example to you guys. And at the end, we'll move towards the Q&A. So before we start with anything, I would love to share that our first client for Captiva is Southwest Business Corporation, which is a diversified financial service company providing insurance, mortgage, and investment services. They have their headquarters in Texas, and um, this is one of the area where Captiva can be used. Captiva can be used in multiple domains like banking, finance, pharma, energy, telecom, etc. Like there like endless possibility to use Captiva as long as you have a paper document or a soft document from a website, mobile application, or anywhere. You can get it processed and integrate with any backend workflows or storage system. Moving ahead. So to start with the problem description, the biggest problem in today's world is the complex document type. The complexity of the document itself is so high that it's very difficult to understand which data to pick and from which location needs to be picked from the document, right? You don't have a standardized format, which will take us to the second point here, which I mentioned, right? You don't have a proper document type or data type that it will come always in this particular, standard format. Sometime for some vendors, the policy number, for example, is only numbers. For some other vendors, it will be with the combination of alphanumeric. It can be anything. The position of the data can be anywhere on the document, right? That is another complexity that we face. Then after, if you try to process it with traditional systems, the turnaround time is very high for data processing, right? And when you try to extract the data, it is of no use if you're not able to use it in the right place, right? So you need end-to-end processing. Like, you should be able to take the data from any sources and you'll be able to integrate with any outbound systems. So to resolve all this issue, we can try to utilize Captiva, and we'll try to see how. Moving towards the solution piece of it, if you are not using Captiva, getting the Captiva in your system will be the greatest thing that you can do to increase the optimization for your workers or the reps who are doing the indexing, right? And if you already have Captiva, the first thing you want to do is leverage full capability of Captiva. I have seen multiple clients who are already having Captiva, but they are not using the maximum out of it, right? So Captiva provides a lot of facilities and tools to extract the data, to do automation, to try to integrate with any type of workflows or content management systems. So we always need to keep our mind open and try to use the Captiva as much as possible in order to achieve the maximum out of it. Moving towards the next point, automate indexing using best extraction tool, right? You need to identify, you need to look at the document, try to identify if you should use zonal or freeform extraction or both. I'll talk in detail about the zonal and freeform extraction, but for right now, I'll just say that when you're looking at the data, you need to know if the data is present at the same spot always, or it's moving around. If it is not moving around, also if the image sizes that you're getting is changing, right? Sometime it is A4, sometime it is coming as a later, sometime it is even smaller, right? So you need to analyze that, and based on your study, you need to use this type of extraction mechanism. Sometimes we need to use the combination of both to get the maximum accuracy. Once you are already done with the extraction setup, you need to make sure that whatever data you have extracted is accurate. To make sure that it is accurate, you need to put some validation rules on top of that extracted data. So there's no garbage values are going into your system and creating issue down the line. When I'm saying that you need to validate the extracted data, we should also not forget to pre-process the data, right, before it is even coming into the extraction system. So we need to make sure that the images or the document that is coming into the extraction system is classified and properly cleaned up. So the system can read it more clearly. Doing all this is gonna automate approximately 78% of your load. And of course, it totally depends on the business, image quality, and the inbound systems, etc. But this is an average rate that so far I have seen in the industry, and this is what we are committing towards. Moving ahead. So whenever we talk about the data extraction piece, we are all focused on one section. That is the extraction mechanism. Everybody talk about which OCR engine are you using, or which tool you are using to extract the data. Have you heard about that particular tool? This tool for OCR, OMR techniques. Right now, I would ask you to step back and try to look a bigger picture, because Extracting the data is not only about what extraction mechanism or which OCR engine you are using to extract the data. It is also about what is the source of the data, right? From where this document is generated and how you are consuming it. So that is very important to understand. Is it a machine generated data? Is it a human generated data, or how the data is generated, right? Which software is used? Is it compatible with these type of extraction tools? Right, so we need to also know, like, the language of the data, and which for how, by which mean this is coming into the system, like scanner, fax, email, right? There are multiple channels right now. So that is very important to understand the inbound in order to achieve the maximum extraction value rate, right? After the inbound, we also need to look at the image quality. If there are noises on the images, if there is any issue, we need to make sure that we clear it. We make sure that it looks good before it goes towards the extraction piece. Once this is done, finally it comes to the extraction mechanism, and here we extract the data using different extraction mechanisms, OCR engines, try to set some regular expression for the data formats and so on. I'll try to take those sections in the later in the slide, right? Once you do the extraction of the data, we are not done yet. Once you extracted the data, it goes to the, fixing the extracted value, because whatever you have extracted, it's not always correct, it's not always accurate. Sometimes you have extra spaces, sometimes you have some additional values because of the noises like comma, period, etc. So you need to make sure that it is in a presentable format. Even if you want to update the date format to, any other date format, or you want to put the dollar value in an appropriate way, you want to do some calculation before presenting it to the following system, you can do all of that before it goes to the outbound system, right? And at the end, once the data is fixed, you need to validate it to make sure it is accurate. So this double check will give you the accuracy level even higher. And not to forget, all of this, we need to have event logs, right? What is happening with the inbound, right? How many documents came in, how many got auto extracted, how many got manually extracted, right? And how many data was fixed, how many keystroke operator have done. If you don't have all this information, you are not aware about your system, and then you cannot improve it. So to improve anything, we need to first understand and know about things. So putting an event log in place is very, very important. So moving ahead with the capture section, right? So capture is more than a process to me. When you see, it is all about how you prepare the document before it get captured, how it goes through the system, and how it connects to the outbound system. So that's what we are trying to tell here with this particular chart, right? That first thing matters is the capture, and then we try to classify the data, like how or which kind of document type or document it is. And is it a loan document, it is a birth certificate, it is a SSN, or any other ID proofs, right? So we need to first identify the document before we try to extract the data out of it, because based on the type of document, we can decide what data to be extracted and from where we should extract it. So the very important piece is document classification. Then it moves towards the data extraction, which again I'll be covering more in detail in the later slides. But yeah, here once you identify which type of document it is, you are ready to set up some rules to make sure you are getting the right information out of the image. And once you extract the data, there will be a validate operator, or it can be automated as well, to make sure that whatever data is captured correctly and accurately. Once this data is captured, validated, it's time to send it to another automated system, workflow, ECM, or any other storage. places, right? So it's totally up to your business what you want to do with the data, right? You don't have to sort each data and send it to right persons, right? You can make Captiva trigger different workflows in order to achieve the maximum automation rate. Moving ahead, as I was talking about the inbound section, right? When we were in this slide, I was talking about capture. So there are multiple capture tools available in the market. Most of the businesses are using scanner, faxes, network drives, right? MFPs. MFPs are widely used. If you have a paper trail, MFPs are widely used. It is like a big scanners which eats up thousands of images in a second and scan it and put it in the system. There are email and then mobile, right? So earlier we used to get a lot of paperwork in the system, but now new generation is using mobile application to send any data, right? So Captiva can work with mobile as well. So Captiva can accommodate all of this and work with this. So moving ahead with types of document, before we understand the classification piece, we need to understand the types of document in the system. So there will be like we can categorize it in three formats. First one is the structured document. In the structured document, we know that this is the place where the data will be. It cannot move from here, right? So it is always very accurate. It is more like a form where you have the boxes in it, right? And you are 100% sure that this is the place where you'll find the data. The second type of document is semi-structured document, which have a structure properly, right? But the the number of items, like invoices, right? The number of items is not always the same, right? So you might have created a table in an invoice where there are 10 rows, but sometime you will have 11. Sometime there are 15 items, so you have to increase the rows in the table, which eventually change the position of the other fields which are available below the table, right? So that is why these are called semi-structured document, which have a structure, but it keeps changing because of the items or some other reasons. Then we have unstructured documents like contract, correspondence, or even maybe an email, right? So if you want to read data out of a proper email or a letter, then we need to understand treat it as an unstructured document and try to use the free-form extraction. So once you understand these three different categories, it leads to different technologies that is used for classification. So different techniques are you can see mentioned four boxes below. These are the four different techniques that is used to classify the data. So if you have properly, structured one. If it is not structured, it goes to full page image, right? If it is text based, it unclassified, it goes to text based analysis. And then after, if it is handprint, it goes to handprint. And if it is properly structured, if you try to see here, the last one, which was properly structured document that goes to high precision anchor technique. So it get classified based on different techniques, right? And so to get the maximum classification rate and to classify it very accurately. Moving ahead, once you classify it, you want to extract it. So if the data is always at the particular place, if the document is well structured, then you can use zonal extraction, which I was talking in the previous slides, right? So if you can see, there are boxes created around the data, right? Like first name, last name. You can put boxes around that and use a OCR engine and say that first name will be available in this particular box, right? And that's how you extract the data very accurately. So structured data can give you the maximum automation rate. Whereas the semi-structured and unstructured data, there you will have to struggle and use some different techniques there. So that is one section of it. I'll try to show you different types of extraction in this particular page. Okay, so this is called zonal extraction. If we try to see this one, right, so this is semi-structured document behavior, right, where the location of the data moves around the page, right? So earlier you saw that the data was on the left side, but now it moved to right side because there's no standardized format, right? And you can control your own data, but when it is coming out of the system, you cannot control it. So it keep changing, keep evolving, right? New versions of the documents are keep coming in. So in that case, we try to, you know, um, try to put anchors for the data extraction as well, and try to give a wider range of movement to the anchor, so it can be still captured using zonal or even freeform based on the need. Okay, but when it comes to unstructured data like this, right, so if you want to read anything out of it, then we have to use the freeform extraction. For freeform extraction, we want to understand what is the data that we are trying to capture, what is the format of the data, right? For example, is it a phone number? If it is a phone number, it should be a 10-digit number, right? And where it is located, it will come just after the phone number label or some other labels we need to identify, and based on that we need to set some regular expression TFTs and DFTs to identify the data location, and we extract it. You will also see some hand printed data on the image. Yes, we can still capture hand printed data. Captiva can take care of any kind of handwriting and hand printed data, even though the accuracy rate is slightly less than the machine print, but it is pretty accurate. Moving ahead with the export integration systems. So Captiva can integrate with multiple, outbound systems to divide it in two category. Either you want to use the content, right, or you want to manage the content. If you want to use the content, you can use it to search, generate another workflow, or trigger another workflow. You can share it with multiple people in the organization. You can also annotate it, right? You can also try to collab on the data and make some decision making, or you can archive it. When it comes to manage the content, you can try to capture the content, extract the metadata, store it in a proper location, decide a life cycle of that data. You can even try to modify, when I'm saying modify, you can modify the doc data format. Like if it is coming as a doc format, you can convert it into a PDF. You can set permissions and decide till when you want to keep the data, and you can dispose of later on. So it can work with any outbound system like Documentum, ODBC, SOAP web services, REST services, XML format, CSV. It can store data in any format and any places, like SharePoint, file share. I cannot even name all of them. So Captiva can probably work with all of them. If there's no out of the box module available, you can customize Captiva. You have a module which is called .NET Core module, which will allow you to integrate it using the SOAP or REST service calls. Going forward, moving towards the lesson learned section. So first thing we learned is to choose the right extraction techniques, right? Whenever you are looking at the document, first of all, you should see, is it a structured, unstructured, or semi-structured document. Based on that, you try to see your data, that particular data in one particular document itself. Is it moving? Is it on the same location? So sometime a semi-structured document, you need to use the mixture of all, like I showed in the image, right? So for some fields you use zonals, for some fields you have to use freeform. So you need to keep your eyes open, try to understand the document, and try to use the right fit extraction technique for that particular data. Then once you extracted the data, Captiva provides you multiple scripting tools to make sure to look into the data, to do proper validation, to fix the data in a right manner, right? And you can also perform some calculations out of it and put the end result in the field, right? So it gives you a lot of flexibility to fix the data using scripting, right? You can remove the impurities and all. Once you fix the data, it allows you also to validate the data against any regular expression, type of document, type of data, or maybe from a database or a third party vendors. It can also allow you to populate other fields based on one particular field that you extracted. For example, if you have extracted name and phone number, and based on that, you want to extract other information. If you are working in a hospital and you want to extract the patient information based on the phone number, right? So once the phone number is extracted, you can use the ODBC engine to extract the entire patient detail and fill the other section of the form. The other lesson learned is capturing event log is very important. If you're not capturing the event log, you don't know your system. And until you know the problem, you cannot solve it. So first thing or the foremost thing is to capture the event logs all the time. Like what is the inbound number of the document? What is the outbound number of document? How much data, right? How much amount of energy we are spending right now to do the, manual indexing, and how we can save it, right? So to do all of that, to understand the strategy out of it, you need to have a event log moving towards the HPA as much as possible. So in this particular point, I'm trying to say the more, as I mentioned, right, if the structured documents are in place, you can achieve maximum automation rate. And when I say even if you have an unstructured document, we can still try to keep it like a structured one, right? We can try to understand how we can convert it into a structured format. There, we can try to improve the automation rate by moving towards the HPA. So these 5 points, if we keep in mind, we are gonna improve the automation rate in the data capture a lot. So far, I've been working with different clients, and this is the difference or the benefit we have received by following those 5 points that I mentioned. First, we have reduced the manual effort drastically, and it we while using the scripting and data validation and population rules, we have increased the accuracy rate. Even there were a lot of human error when a human was trying to enter the data, but with our programmed information, it never, I would say, like 99% of the time, data is very accurate, or else it will not even capture it. It will say we need a manual operator to take care of it. Help the decision making, of course, right? If you are having the accurate data, it is automated. It will definitely help you to make the right decisions and compete with the market. There's a client testimony that I try to put it here, right? Within, if you can see, within 3 months of time, we were able to take their automation rate from 0 to 5.3%, right? And till now, it is coming to 9% now. So I'm just trying to say within 5 months, their automation rate has gone from 0% to 9%, which is like 22,000 document per month is getting automatically classified for them. And when I'm giving you this percentage, it is not for one document type, it is for entire system, right? 9% of entire system, it doesn't look much, but it is a lot from there, a lot from for them, and they are very happy about it. So this is one of the testimony that they have shared with us. Before before using the Captiva it was taking approx 5 minutes to process one document, right? But when you start using Captiva and try to automate it, it hardly takes 30 seconds to process one document, even if it comes to manual extraction. So that is the impact you're gonna get by using Captiva or use the data capture techniques that I was trying to show. And as a complimentary offer that we are providing only for the webinar attendees, we are providing a complimentary assessment uh, for your system where we'll be identifying the use case and trying to see the scope of the work, where also we'll be trying to review the integration part of it, like what all tools you are working with and how we can integrate it with that. Also we'll try to understand the customization needs. At the result of that, we'll be trying to propose a solution for it, and we'll try to project a ROI against the same. You'll also have a plan and timelines created, which will also get the cost effective information for you. So this is only for the attendees of this webinar. If you want to know more about it, you can reach us to the email ID given in the slide, and we'll be happy to help you. Now we'll move towards the question and answer section, and we'll start taking question and answer from your side. Thank you.